be alone each and every night. While you're away, don't forget to write. Bye-bye, so long, farewell. Bye-bye, so long. See you in September. See you when the summer's through. Here we are, saying goodbye at the station. Summer vacation is taking you away. Have a good time, but remember, there is danger in the summer moon above. Will I see you in September, or lose you to a summer love?
Well, there we are. There's a fun old song just to get us in the mood for summer. And of course, when you get into summer, you get into picnics and outings and camping trips and things like that. Well, today's recipe is a good old-fashioned spice cake, and it's a great one to take along on a picnic or for a camping trip or whatever. So let's get to making the spice cake, and you'll have something to take with you when you go on one of those little outings. Let's get to it. I'll move the camera over so you can see what's going on. All right, this is a pretty simple cake to make. So you're going to start with 2 cups of white flour, 1 cup of white granulated sugar. Now let's blend those together. And to that, you're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda. Yep, the pucker up stuff. You're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon. Remember, this is a spice cake. Half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to put in a half teaspoon of nutmeg. And a half teaspoon of cloves. I'll put the recipe in the description box for you so you don't have to try and write it down while I'm doing this unless you really want to. And that's our dry ingredients, so we're just going to blend those together. Now occasionally when my mother would make this, she would add a tablespoon of cocoa powder, which didn't make it a chocolate cake, but it gave it a hint of chocolate flavor. So that's something else you can do if you want, but we're going to stick to the original recipe today. So once we get this all really well blended, then we're going to add our wet ingredients, and there's only 2 of them. The first one is 1 cup of either sour milk, or I'm instead using almond milk. Now if you don't have any sour milk, you can always make some by adding a little vinegar or lemon juice to some regular milk. We're going to add to that 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Vanilla is so expensive you don't want to waste it. Get every little drop of it there. And our final wet ingredient is half a cup of vegetable oil. I'm using canola oil, but any vegetable oil will do. I would not use olive oil, but you know, sunflower oil, canola oil, or a mixed vegetable oil would be fine. And that's it for our ingredients. Now we just, whoops. Now we just want to mix all that together. Now you can do this with a mix master if you prefer, but you know me, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I'm, for the most part, a hands-on, old-fashioned kind of guy that way. I usually do things by hand rather than using a mixer, unless it's such that I need to cream something where doing it by hand is not as easy as it might otherwise be. Now another ingredient that's optional to this recipe that you could add if you want would be some chopped walnuts or pecans, or some raisins or sultanas. But we're just gonna make, like I said, we're just gonna make the plain old basic recipe today without any of the optional ingredients. Now, prep work. I forgot to mention what to do in preparation. Well, one thing you want to do is grease an 8x8 Pyrex dish, casserole, pan, whatever you want to call it, or a cake pan. There we go. And you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I know I live in Canada and we use Celsius up here, but what you may not know about me was I left Canada in 1967, February. So pre-decimal, if you want to call it that, or pre-metric. And I moved to the States with my family. I was 11 years old. And my dad's job took us down to California. Now, don't go thinking sunny beaches and palm trees, because that's not where we lived. We lived in Northern California, where it's fog and rain. Anyway, we moved down there, and then I moved back up to Canada in 1984. And by the time I moved back, of course, they'd gone to the decimal system. So I missed out on that part of my education, and so I still think in imperial measures rather than metric. All right, you've greased your 8x8 cake pan, and you've preheated your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, let's get our batter in the pan. Now, like I say, this is a pretty easy recipe. Now, if you want to double this and do it in regular cake tins and make a regular cake and ice it and everything, you certainly can do that. But I prefer it this way, kind of like a sheet cake, if you will. All right, let's get some of our dirty dishes out of the way here, shall we? Okay, our cake is ready to go in the oven. So fasten your seat belts, you're going for a ride. I'm going to move the camera back over so we can have a good look at the kitchen. Okay, our batter's in the pan, the oven is ready, and we're going to bake this now. I know I've said this twice or 3 times at 350 degrees for 45 minutes or until a probe inserted comes out clean. Set our timer for 45 minutes. And there we go, off and cooking. We'll come back when it's done, let it cool for a bit, and then we'll turn it out, ready to decorate. See you then. Well, that was the timer telling us the cake is ready, so let's check it out, shall we? Make sure that it's cooked. The probe is clean, the cake is done. Let's get it out of the oven. Oh, didn't that turn out nice? Nice golden brown cake there. All right, we're going to set it to cool. And once it's cooled, we'll turn it out of the pan, and we'll probably sprinkle some powdered sugar on the top and make it look pretty. All right, be back in a little bit. All right, our cake is cooled. We're going to turn it out now onto a plate. Now, you could leave this in the pan and serve it out of the pan like you would brownies, but I want to turn it out onto a plate. So we'll just do that and let it fall on its own. There we go. And hopefully it didn't take too big a chunk out of the bottom. It didn't. Now, what am I going to do? Well, that's not the prettiest side of the cake. So what I'm going to do is turn it over. Now I just cracked it. Well, shame on me. I put a crack in the surface. But there we have our cake. Kind of center it up there on the plate. See if I can turn it maybe. There we go. That looks a little better. Shame on me, I cracked it. Now what I would normally do to decorate this is I probably put a few pecans and a flower pattern on the middle at the top, but unfortunately I don't have any pecans at the moment. Let's see if we can lift this a little bit here and kind of make it look a little better. There, it doesn't look quite so bad. But what I am going to do to decorate it a bit Let's just give it a little dusting of powdered sugar. There, that just makes it look a little bit better. And like I say, if you have some walnut halves or pecan halves, or maybe even some almonds, you could do a little pattern. I would usually do like a little flowerette in the middle, using the pecans halves as the petals. But like I say, unfortunately, I don't have any at the moment. Thought I did till I went to get them out and discovered I didn't. But there we have today's recipe. A nice old-fashioned spice cake. Let's just cut a piece here, shall we? Now I'm not going to be serving this to company, so it doesn't matter that I've cut in, but let's just cut a piece here and have a look. There you can see it's a nice, moist, and delicious tasting cake. So I hope you've enjoyed today's recipe and you'll give this a try. Like I say, it's great to take on picnics or to put in with all your other food to take on a camping trip, or in the ice box for in your RV, or just to have at home with a nice cup of coffee. You can serve it as a breakfast cake. You can have it as dessert after supper with some ice cream. But however you serve it, enjoy. Take care now. We'll see you on Tuesday for Tuesdays with the Pilgrim. Until then, take care, stay safe, and God bless.